Okay, President George, we are live.
Thank you, Secretary Mahalan. Good evening. Welcome to King Middle School's Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is the meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. I am pleased to call this meeting of the King Middle School Go Team to order at 5:33. Our first order of business is to call roll. Secretary Mahalan, will you now take the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Please say present when your name is called. Barbara Shea.
Present.
Treon Brown.
Present.
Rebecca Wallace.
Present.
Constant Franklin. Ms. Constance Franklin. Amaryllis Jones.
Present.
Sean Mahalan, myself, present. Ms. Bodisha Ridley.
Present.
Minister Vince Thomas. Present. Mr. Devontae Phillips.
Present.
And Ms. Kalisha George.
Present.
Okay, and we have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you and copies are here. Are there any changes to the agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Treon Brown, motion to approve the agenda.
I second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. So the secretary for the vote. All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. Thank you. We'll review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections? Thank you. If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
I motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
A second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. We will now move to the discussion items on our agenda. Our first discussion item is the ACES review. Principal Shea, can you share the ACES review with us at this time?
I can.
Thank you so much.
That means I have to stop sharing this. Yeah, okay, thank you. Let me see. Okay, can everybody see that? Do you see that? Yes, you see it? Okay, in December, I had to go in front of the superintendent, the chief of schools, and all of the associate superintendents to present our accountability, continuous improvement, equity, and support plan. Not so much of a plan at this point, was really the data from King Middle School up to this point in the year. It was early December. So as you can see, I had to introduce myself, talk about how long I've been here, talk about how long I've been a principal. I said 5 months. Our signature program, of course, is International Baccalaureate. Our reading program is Amplify. Our math program, also Amplify. And had to discuss our enrollment information based on the October FTE count. At that point, we had 804 students in the building, and last year's enrollment was 871, and we had a change of enrollment of 67 kids. So we had to talk about staffing. At that time, we had one teacher vacancy in Spanish, and that vacancy has since been filled. And we still have one vacancy in special education. So these are the things they wanted us to present. We had to talk about our take rate for attendance. And when I say that, that's the teacher take rate for attendance. And the daily attendance rate is 88.9. Students not chronically absent, 61.7% of our students. And then we had to talk about behavior. And our overall suspension rate for that point in the year was 0.83%. And then it had to be broken down by male, female, and our subgroups, students with disabilities, Black students, Hispanic students, multi-race students, and white students. Our attendance rate was pretty much the same as every other middle school's attendance rate. Suspension rate this year. We've suspended more students early this year than we had in a very long time. And sadly, some of those suspensions were very egregious, which led us to go to hearings with many of those students and ultimately have them removed from King, which we did. Then I had to talk about our academic indicators. And of course, we are a MAP school this year. We talked about that at another Go Team meeting. We take the MAP test 3 times a year. At the time I made this presentation, we had given it once. And we are still actually in the process of giving it for the 2nd time. So we'll have that data at our next Go Team meeting. But we were looking for children that were proficient or above in ELA and proficient and above in math. And our numbers were, they were troubling. Overall, we had 27% of our students that were proficient in ELA and 15% proficient in math. Female, we had above proficient. Of female, we had 33%, 15% for math. Male, 22, 15 for math. Students with disabilities, which is one of our big target areas that came, 5% proficiency in ELA, 3% proficiency for math. Our English language, our EL students, 0% proficient in ELA and 6% in math. Our Black students, 20% and 8%, Hispanic 15 and 17, and we have EL as English as a second language and Hispanic students who are not served in the English as a second language program. And then our white students, 78% were proficient or above, and 60% were proficient or above in math. We had to talk about the intervention program, which I'm sure you know is Read and Math 180. Also System 44, which is a program we are using for students who tested lower than qualifying for Read or Math 180. So we had more students in that program than we anticipated having, but we are serving them. And then we use Renzulli for students who are met the criteria to not be in a remedial class for reading or math. And 76 of our students are in Renzulli, which is an enrichment program for reading and math. So on every day we have intervention, they're in enrichment. And then 131 of our students either qualified for reading or they qualified for math, which meant they were either in reading for, maybe they were in Read 180 for reading, and then on the math days, they went over to enrichment or vice versa. That's kind of where we are. That's right now, our best academic indicator is math because it's the first real test we've been able to give in the last 2 years. Then we had to talk about our action steps and how we're going to address some of our issues. The first one being our attendance issues. And basically what we see happening is with COVID, we have students that go out for quarantine for either close contact or they actually had COVID. And what we were noticing is they weren't coming back. And a lot of that came from parents who were fearful of having them come back. A lot of them, I think, maybe didn't tell their parents when it was time to come back. But we have an attendance team and a care team here, and that has been our one of our big focuses, to get our kids to come back and stay with regularity. That's been a little harder this year. There's been lots of interruptions, and we do have plans in place to make that happen. Action step number 2 went towards behavior. We are going to continue to use restorative practices for tier 1 infractions, conflict resolution, peer mediation, teams to assist students, timeout, parent conferences, use of our communities and schools counselor. Our tier 2 to 4 behaviors, which are higher level infractions, will be based on situations, maybe a parent conference, a student conference, ISS or OSS. But if it's egregious and it meets a certain level, it will go to a hearing. Additionally, we celebrate our students monthly in the areas of citizenship, most improved, and student of the month. And those are some of the ways we're trying to pull kids in. Action step number 3 is more about the academic piece. And we are working on building a culture of MAP. MAP has been adopted by the district. It is something that we have used for many years here in APS, but we've used it to test gifted students. So many of us were familiar with MAP, and now we're doing it on a much grander scale. Ordinarily, we would have had all of our data for the second assessment of MAP, but as you know, we went home a little earlier than we were supposed to for Christmas or winter break. And we had a lot of kids at that time on quarantine. So I think we were not the only ones. So the district opened the window again and has let us test this week. And that is what we are doing at this point. Part of what we've done with MAP is have data talks with the kids. We showed them their data from the very first time they took it. We talked about what they could do to grow realistically. We just had some honest conversations because it's very important for the kids to know where they are. Our second administration, of course, is going on now, and there'll be one last administration at the end of the year. But the administration that we have right now is going to be our growth data. So we want the kids to have their head in the right place when they take that test, because we want to see growth. I can tell you that preliminarily, the data that we have for the students we had already tested shows we have growth. Children are growing, and it looks much better than it did when we gave the test in September. So our hope is that that will continue. And that is the ACEs review. You want me to keep going, Ms. George?
No, thank you so much for sharing that. I would just like to add, even with the break, with the winter break and the students returning to complete the MAP, that excitement is still there. As they complete their tests, many of them are asking what their scores are, but of course, with the MAP test, there's a 24-hour lag, so you don't know initially when they complete it. So it is refreshing to see that they are still focused on that growth and learning what their progress is. Thank you so much for sharing your ACEs review. I think it's an excellent segue as we begin to talk about our school strategic plan.
Okay, let me pull that up. I think I'm pulling it up. Yes. Can you see that, everybody? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the strategic plan format has changed for this year. There's a new template, and it's still, of course, in the, it's not complete. We have not gotten Go Team feedback. We're also working on more feedback within this building as well. So I'm going to just show you what we have as the beginning, and we can have a discussion about it. We are also going to put a folder in the Google Drive. Is that correct? That's correct, Ms. George?
That is correct.
And we will be sending invitations out to Go Team for you to look at the plan, make edits, suggestions, things that you would like to see. Right now, these are our priorities. These are our strategic priorities, which are based on mostly our academic data and our behavioral data that we have from this part of the year. So wish I could make this bigger just for myself, but that's okay. It starts out with our school mission and vision to prepare students for a globally competitive environment in in which students graduate college and career ready while fostering principles of responsibility, service, respect, compassion, international mindedness with an academically challenging educational framework. So that is our mission statement that is combined with our IB philosophy. Our vision is we will have a peaceful, productive, and orderly learning environment that meets the academic, social, and developmental needs of all our students. Our goal is to prepare students for a successful high school experience without the need for remediation. So the first thing we had to do is use our SMART goals. And our SMART goals come right from our school improvement plan and actually last year's strategic plan. Percentage of students in grades 6 through 8 scoring developing or above in reading will increase from 59.5 to 62.5 on Georgia Milestones EOG. Remembering that this year's EOG will really be our new baseline. We have not given one since 2019. So the scores we will get in May or June, probably closer to June, will sort of decide whether we need to change these goals, because this is, of course, a fluid document and things can change as the needs change. The percentage of students in grades 6 through 8 scoring developing or above in math will increase from 62.5 to 65.5 on Georgia Milestones EOG. Use the new universal behavior screener 2 times a year to assess the social and emotional needs of students in grades 6 through 8. And of course, that is the new. We talked about that at a Go Team in the past. That is the new screener adopted by the Atlanta Public Schools that we give all students, and parents have a opportunity to also do it themselves based on what they see in their own students, and teachers do it for the students to give us sort of an accurate picture of where our kids are socially and emotionally, especially after coming back from such a long absence and all the things that came with being gone for so long. The APS strategic priorities and initiatives, which are given to us by Atlanta Public Schools: fostering academic excellence for all, data, curriculum, and instruction, signature programming. So our school priorities are to use data to drive instructional decisions to increase student achievement, focus on teaching daily lessons by utilizing the instructional framework with rigor and fidelity, incorporate the IB learner profiles and approaches to learning skills to develop lifelong learners and address our students' diverse learning styles. How are we going to do that? We're going to use map data to create realistic learning goals for students. We're going to use that 3 times a year. We're going to analyze data from the Read and Math 180 to assess growth in the areas of reading and math. We're going to monitor and provide timely feedback to teachers with glows and grows when observing the instructional framework. Use lesson internalization practices during collaborative planning to ensure teacher understanding of the content being taught. Conduct monthly PL to support teachers in facilitating IB practices with fidelity, and monitor and observe teachers to ensure IB implementation is obvious in each classroom. Ms. Jacoby, should I ask for comments? This is where I'm sort of new at this.
Yes, that would be fine now.
Okay. So not only will we put something in the Google Drive for you to make comments, but if you have something now that you'd like to share or question, we are certainly here to listen. Otherwise, I'll keep going. You just tell me. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Next one is building a culture of student support, whole child and intervention, personalized learning. We're going to implement a whole child system of supports that integrates social emotional learning, behavior, wellness, and comprehensive academic intervention plans. We're going to utilize the new universal behavior mental health screener twice a year with fidelity. We've used it once so far. We're going to implement restorative practices, and we're going to have restorative practice professional development. Our care and attendance teams will monitor, next one is increased student attendance and participation. And to do that, our care and attendance teams will monitor students with high rates of absenteeism. Members will work with and mentor those students and put practices in place to monitor them daily. It could be check in, check out. It could be having them carry a tracking sheet, things that we just do to keep up with the babies that are just not coming with any sense of regularity. Rewards and acknowledgements are given monthly to students with perfect attendance. We have celebrations every month for students who've had perfect attendance. And we are working on other things to just sort of keep kids motivated and wanting to come to school. Use flexible learning tools, technology integration, and targeted instruction to personalize learning for all students. Students will have their own device for use in school and at home. The device will have internet access built in to assist in removing barriers to working outside of the classroom. So last year, of course, you all know we gave out our computers, but we had to give hotspots. And sometimes that didn't always work well, or we ran out. But because we have the Verizon computers, because we have the grant with her and the agreement with Verizon, all of our students have computers with built-in internet. So wherever they go, they will have access to getting their work done. Multiple supplemental platforms are being used to assist students in receiving additional academic support. We have IXL, USA Test Prep, Study Island, among others. Anybody want to say about this? Any comments or questions? I'm going to keep on going. This is page 2, so the top is the same, and now it's equipping and empowering leaders and staff, strategic staff for support, equitable resource allocation. We're going to strengthen teachers' capacity to provide rigorous and engaging instruction at all content levels. To do this, we're going to provide professional development that focuses on teaching daily lessons in ways that clarify the objectives of the lesson, reinforce what is taught, and meaningfully engage our students. We're going to provide teachers with opportunities to facilitate their own PLs for their specific content and utilize content area instructional coaches to facilitate PL, professional learning. Okay. Creating a system of school support, collective action, engagement, and empowerment. We're going to develop a positive and collaborative environment for students, staff, and all of our stakeholders. We're going to implement positive intervention strategies, implement social emotional learning for staff and students, facilitate team building activities for staff and students, and build community awareness through our IB projects, Go Team, and PTA. And that is pretty much the end of the strategic plan.
Thank you so much for sharing with that. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the strategic plan? As we said before, we will send it to you in Google so that you can have a little time to look at it and make some suggestions or changes, if any, are necessary in the next few days.
Thank you, Ms. George.
Thank you.
Ms. Shea, I do have a question. Can we go back to the social and emotional learning piece? Did we, is that where it is?
Implement social emotional. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Well, I thought in the last slide you were talking about actual, so I guess I'm just wondering, and I know it's probably too detailed to include in here, but what that actually means now, because I know at one point we were having like meetings once a week. Is there anything you can tell us more about what that actually means, implementing SEL?
We are, we've been doing SEL at King for quite a long time. We have SEL once a week as a class.
Right. Okay.
Instead of intervention, we still have that. We also incorporate SEL strategies throughout the day. We use the language of SEL. We would like to have SEL more, but the intervention block has sort of become something that's a higher priority at this point to address unfinished learning and enrichment. But we are still doing SEL. Yes, we do it with fidelity and daily in our classroom.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for asking.
In addition to that, in After School All-Stars, SEL is also a large component, and they have that as well. Opportunities to talk about things, share out, and different lessons that are incorporated. All right, we will now move on to informational items. Our first informational item, or excuse me, our only informational item is our COVID test to stay.
Yes, so I have asked Nurse Duffy, our school nurse, to come on and sort of give everybody a kind of a synopsis of what that will mean for us. It's a change, and it goes into effect next week. Thank you, Nurse Duffy, for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. So the basis of the test to stay is that students will be permitted to stay at school if they have a positive exposure to someone who tested positive to COVID, if they agree and sign up for the biweekly testing at King Middle School. That is the rules for APS standardly across the board. As long as the students' parents sign them up for the biweekly testing at their school, the students can stay in school and quarantine in school when there's been an exposure. Any additional updates, I will let you all know. Thank you.
Anybody have questions for Nurse Duffy?
Thank you. We will now move to announcements. Students will take their reading and math inventory testing the last week of January. They'll take those assessments in their intervention block. And it's just a way for us to note their progress. They've been working on intervention since latter September. And so it's a way for us to also chart our progress in that program. So they will be testing in the end of January. Our second item is spring athletics. We have postponed tryouts, but they will start next week, and that will be for flag football, soccer, track and field, and baseball. So those tryouts will start next week. I know the kids are excited to get out there and get engaged again. Basketball is off to a wonderful start. We actually have a game tonight. So we just ask, as always, that parents continue to support our kids as they play. So thank you so much. Are there any additional announcements?
I have two quick ones, if I may. One,
you.
just a reminder that on Tuesday evening, we are having another one of our G3 conversations. That's part of our Go, Grow, Govern series. And it's an opportunity for you to meet the operational ombuds from the Center for Equity and Social Justice and find out what they do and how they support the work of the district. And then as we are in budget season, please keep a watch on your email because you will have to do the annual budget training, and you will be getting notices about that either tomorrow or early next week about starting that training. And I promise you, it's a 5-minute video and 10 questions. It is not a long drain on your time. So, and third thing is, we have elections coming up and declarations will be opening soon. If you are in a seat which expires where the term ends in June of 2022 and you want to run again, you can reach out to make sure that you are still eligible and qualified. But start thinking about people who you think would be good additions to the Go team, because I know in middle school, especially for those parent seats, it's really hard because you're only there for 3 years. So if you're rolling out of the school, start maybe thinking about inviting somebody to be your replacement and declare to run. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kobe, for sharing that with us tonight.
I have one announcement, Ms. George, that we did get our allotment yesterday. I don't have the budget, of course, ready, but we did get an allotment. And the one thing I want people to know is that the enrollment is down all over Atlanta Public Schools, and it has impacted King to the tune of about 100 kids for next year. Projected, we're going to lose about 100 kids. And of course, that impacts our allotment. But I'll have more information for you as time goes on. And we just got it yesterday.
Thank you. I also want to note that our next Go Team meeting is scheduled for February 10th at 5:30. And of course, it will be virtual, streamed on our YouTube channel. So please join us for that meeting on February 10th. We did not have anyone sign up for public comment this evening. As always, it is posted on our Go Team website, and anybody who would like to make a comment is welcome as long as they follow the procedures for signing up ahead of time.
I just wanted to make one more comment about the MAP testing that you referred to earlier, Ms. Shea, that's going on right now. And I think y'all talked about it at the last meeting, which unfortunately I had to miss. But I did want to reiterate, if there's any way we can alert parents that you all are having the one-on-one sessions with the students about their results, because I think that is fantastic. And I think if kids, I mean, if we parents knew about that, then we can continue the conversation at home, even if it's a quick message through Messenger. You know, your students have been having discussions this week. I mean, it doesn't have to be the exact day for every student, because I know that that's different. It's going to go over a few days, I'm assuming. But if you alert us like what week those discussions are happening, I think that could be really productive for us to continue those conversations.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace, for that suggestion.
No problem. We will finish tomorrow and have time to look at our data next week. So we'd probably be having those discussions in the next weeks. So that's no problem. And
That's
thank you
great.
for bringing that up. Thank you so much.
I think that's really helpful.
It is, because the kids really like it. So I think you're exactly right. You go home, they can tell you what's going on because they
Yeah.
know.
And my
Yeah.
kid didn't, like I'm sure a lot of kids, they wouldn't offer that proactively, especially at this age. So if we know to ask, that's
Yes,
that's a lot better.
absolutely. Because
Yeah,
they like talking about it when they're here. That is for sure.
great.
Thank you. We have now reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time?
I just had a quick question, because that was an interesting point about how enrollment is down, not only at King, but across the district. I don't know if you all would know, but is it because families are moving students to online, or are they moving out of the district? Is there any rhyme or reason to the drop in enrollment?
I know that yesterday when they talked about it, they said that this was they're seeing this all over the state. Part of me thinks, and this is just me, I mean, we have some kids who entered AVA, which is the virtual online academy, but in some ways those kids still are connected to us. They come to test with us. So I'm not sure it's an impact on our enrollment, but it's a little different. What part of me feels, and I don't know if it's true, is that we have kids that just aren't coming to school. They're not going to school anywhere. And it's just, I mean, it's an overwhelming problem, because where do you begin? We begin with the kids who were supposed to be here, but then it comes a point where we have to take them off roll, because there's a certain days we wait, we take them off roll, but we're not getting paperwork asking about, to send them transcripts from other schools. So it makes me, I don't know. And I know that the virtual platforms offered by the state of Georgia are full. So I don't, I don't know. It's a good question. I think we still have parents that are fearful and are struggling with sending their kids back to school. And I know it's not just King, it's all over the place, because all over Atlanta public schools, there's been quite a drop in enrollment for next year, projected enrollment. And this year we're down like 60 kids. So yes, I wish I had the answer to that, Minister Thomas.
Thank you.
I think if I could offer, I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of kids just unfortunately aren't going to school right now. And I am a little hopeful that our new mayor is really trying to forge a better relationship with Atlanta Public Schools, just in the stuff he's done so far, and appointing Dr. Herring to his transition team. So I'm hoping that there's going to be some more cohesion, because I think we all know when kids are not in school, crime tends to go up, sadly. So I think there is a connection that they're making. They're really trying to reach out and strengthen our youth programs and our after school and out of school programs. So I think it's, like you said, it's a problem across the state, but I think our mayor is kind of paying attention to that on this offer from where I sit.
I think you're right. Thank you, Ms. LaFawn.
Are there any more comments or questions for the meeting tonight? Thank you, everyone, for attending and sharing in discussion. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn
the meeting.
A second.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. You all have a wonderful evening.
You too.